Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am NIK NIKAM. This is COVID-19 World News brought to you from Houston, Texas. Today the topic is FDA halts Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine amidst stroke concerns. So let us dive into the topic and learn something about COVID vaccine and strokes. FDA on April 14, 21, halted the administration of a Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine amid concerns regarding stroke. According to the news, 7 women who had received the vaccine had developed blood clots in the brain, which we are going to talk about in a minute. And as a result of this, one person has died and a second person is in a critical condition in the hospital while 2 people have been discharged. The condition these women suffered is known as the cavernous venous sinus thrombosis, or in general terms, cerebral venous sinus thrombosis, or CVST. This is a rare but serious complication resulting from a variety of conditions, and this has been an unusual presentation in patients receiving COVID vaccine. This is not the first time we have seen resulting in cerebral thrombosis. As you recall, a couple of weeks ago in Europe, especially in Germany and in UK, there were concerns about a similar situation of blood clot formation in the venous system in the brain among those people who were receiving AstraZeneca vaccine. In fact, Germany had halted the administration of a vaccine, and later on they determined that the vaccine was more suitable for people over the age of 60, since when this vaccine was used in the younger population, like in the healthcare workers, that's where they found the incidence of cavernous venous thrombosis. Now, with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, now we are seeing the similar type of a situation where there is blood clot formation inside the veins in the brain. As you can see, here is the brain venous system draining the blood from the brain, and right at the base of the skull, all these tiny tributaries come in to form what's like a lake. It's like a lake where all these small branches come in, and from there it drains into a bigger vein. This is known as the cavernous sinus. The interesting thing is it is located close to the pituitary gland and also right behind our eyeballs. And here's a picture of, as you can see, all these small veins come together and they become larger as they go further down, draining the blood from the head to the heart. When there's blood clot formation in these veins, it blocks the flow of blood from the brain to the heart. As a result, there is backup of blood. Whenever there is pressure built up, results in symptoms of headache, blurring of vision, among other things. And here is a different picture looking from the side. And as I told you, here's the eyeball. It is situated right behind the eyeball. This is cavernous sinus where they found blood clots blocking the free flow of the blood from various vein tributaries emptying into this cavernous sinus. And here is a cross-section of the brain, and as I told you, it is surrounding the pituitary gland, the gland that produces the hormones. And the other important thing to remember is that a lot of the symptoms are related to the pressure buildup in the brain, and also because of the fact these cranial nerves which supply the eyes, which supply the jaw muscles, the tongue, and other organs in the head are also compressed, leading to symptoms. Cavernous venous thrombosis is an extremely rare condition, but it is a serious condition when it does happen. But cavernous sinus thrombosis can occur in a variety of situations besides related to vaccine, which is a new phenomenon. It is seen in patients who have increased tendency for blood clot formation. It is seen sometimes during pregnancy. It is also seen in people who are receiving oral contraceptive agents, and it may be a sign of an infection or inside the brain, or it could be related to dehydration, and even sometimes the causes are unknown. Among the 8 women who developed these blood clots inside the cavernous sinus, most of them are between the ages of 18 and 48. The median duration was 8 days from the administration of vaccine. According to the CDC, more than 6.8 million Americans have received the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine, which, as you know, is a single-dose vaccine, in contrast to Moderna and Pfizer, which are 2 doses separated by several weeks. Johnson & Johnson has already shipped 9 million doses of vaccines to various states, which have been put on hold as of this time. Just a little bit about blood clots. Blood clots generally happen in legs, which we are familiar with. It is known as the deep vein thrombosis. If it happens in the lung, we know that's known as the pulmonary embolus, which is a very grave situation. And when it happens in the brain, it can lead to stroke. And these conditions can sometimes be dangerous. The main thing, as I told you, when there is blockage to the flow of blood, the pressure builds up. The pressure inside the cranial cavity, which is like a sealed box, builds up. That leads to severe headache, especially around the eyes. It can lead to swelling and bulging of the eyes because of poor venous drainage. It can also cause pain, bleeding underneath the sclera, and people can experience double vision. They can also experience symptoms related to the cranial nerves, the nerves that supply the head and parts inside the face. Do we diagnose this, and how do we manage this? This is diagnosed by doing like CT or MRA or MRA angiogram, where you can see there is a filling defect in these sinuses showing the presence of a blood clot. And these conditions need to be aggressively treated. One of the other problems that was noticed among these people is that in addition to having these blood clots in the brain veins, they also had low platelet counts. Normally, we would treat these patients with blood thinners to dissolve the clot. But in a person with a low platelet count, that is sort of contraindicated. That's why it is a more serious situation in patients who are receiving the vaccine, because in addition to having these blood clots in these veins in the brain, they also have low platelet counts. When we give anticoagulants or blood thinners, that will increase the chances of bleeding. Anyway, these patients are given also, they can be given blood thinners like they give for stroke, TPA that is given for acute stroke patients. They can put catheters right close to the clot and try to dissolve it. And sometimes these patients are given steroids to reduce the brain swelling. And if nothing works, they may have to open the sinuses during surgery and remove the blood clots. So to sum it up, these patients are generally treated with anticoagulants, but in patients with COVID vaccine-related strokes, because they have low platelet counts, anticoagulants cannot be used because that can make the condition worse. Of course, they are going to treat it with steroids, and if that doesn't work, surgical drainage may be the only option left. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a quick synopsis of cavernous venous sinus thrombosis, a rare complication occurring as a result of Johnson & Johnson vaccine. At the present time, the FDA and CDC have put this on hold to analyze and see, what were the conditions in these 8 patients that were different from the rest of the 6.8 million people who received the vaccine. Women between the ages of 18 and 48, the mortality from COVID infection is 125 per million people, whereas the vaccine-related death was close to like 1 in a million people who received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. But nonetheless, even 1 stroke is too many. That's why FDA and CDC have put a halt to analyze and see if there was something that is unique to this population or this particular age group or this particular ethnic group, as this happened mostly in Caucasian women. and then see the next step they have to take. I hope this has been educational to you, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next time.